Word from the rehearsal hall is that, because Dean had been talking about fully retiring. Us old people, we retire, but one of the cool things about having taught music, still teaching music, but officially as paying the rent, when we retired from public school teaching, that unlike our, say for example, our colleagues that taught math, God bless them, I can't imagine the horrors of teaching math. Hi kids, it's Gary Gillett and Music in Missoula, or better yet, musicians in Missoula. And look who's back with me, my buddy Dean Peterson. Instead of everything about his life, which was really nice. If you missed that one, hey, go back, get on your computer and get back on MCAT and stream that, because it's a lovely conversation. So we'll just have a little bit of background information on who Dean is and was. And then we'll take a look forward to the Missoula Symphony Orchestra and Chorale performance coming up here shortly, of which you'll be able to see some snippets from rehearsal interrupting our chat, hopefully, because that would be a lot more musical than me going on. Hey, give us a little bit. Dean, for the folks that don't know who you are, who are you, buddy?
Well,
a man in a smart sweater, that's what he is.
I forgot my Birkenstocks today.
I've got mine in the shop getting resold for the spring.
Well, I'm a local musician in Missoula. Been here since the 70s. Came here for college and never left. And I taught public school for 33 years, and I was 25 years as the choral conductor at Hellgate High School. That was a really wonderful job. Along with that, I took on the Missoula Symphony Chorale, which is one of the reasons I'm here today. And I've also conducted, until just very recently, the Missoula Mendelssohn Club. Been really active in music all the way along here in town. Was always a major part of the International Choral Festival, which, by the way, is coming back this summer in July. And yeah, I guess that's about it.
And he's a fantastic pianist as well. All right? They had to choose at some point whether or not to... Did you ever consider being a piano major?
I did have to make. I was a piano major.
You probably started.
I have a degree
in piano.
I have a bachelor's degree in piano performance. So that was my first love, was piano. And in fact, even now, I'd almost rather be sitting at the piano than being in front of a choir conducting.
Well, I understand that.
No, but I did my bachelor's. I did a double major, music education and piano performance.
Well, look at that. I've known Dean for 100 years, and that's and that came about as a result of a compliment to you. Dee and I were colleagues in Missoula County high schools. It was for a long while for our locals here. Now all the more current folks just know Missoula County Public Schools. And they were just on spring break last week.
Yep.
And some of our old colleagues are off there. I tried to get a hold of a local band director. No, they're off on tour. Mm-hmm. Hellgate's in Hawaii again.
Yeah, it must be tough.
Well,
I know.
Traveling with teenagers was not the top of my list.
Or mine.
That's right, even more so for you.
Yeah.
All right, so you got a little taste of who Dean is. And the event coming up is the...
Well, let me kind of preface this by talking a little bit about the Missoula Symphony Chorale, which is my job. I've been conducting the chorale for, I think, 16 years, since 2006. And the chorale has been a part of the Missoula Symphony Orchestra since 1962. So actually, we've been doing this for 60 years. And I'm the fourth conductor of the group. And we are preparing right now for our Masterworks concert, which is the chorale and the orchestra, coming up April 15th and 16th. And we are performing a really interesting piece. And so Gary and I were talking about it, and he thought it would be nice if I could share some information about this piece. I don't believe that this piece has ever been performed in Missoula.
And it's a favorite of Dean, because Dean was thinking about backing out of this whole chorale thing. He said, hey, if I could do this piece, I'll stick around. And now he's going to stick around more. So why do you know it? If you haven't...
I know this piece because I was part of a choir conducted by Peter Park back in the early 2000s, 2005. We did an ambassador choir, and we went to our sister city in New Zealand, and we went to Australia, and we performed this piece with a number of other choirs from around the world in the Opera House in Sydney. Under the direction of Eric Whitaker, a big name in the choral world.
Oh my God!
So I became acquainted with this piece then, and I kind of put it away, never thought about it again, till one day, it's fundraising week, hope you've donated to KUFM. I heard...
Sorry, MCAT. Yeah, sorry.
I heard on KUFM one morning that piece, and I kind of went, wait, I know this piece, and I listened to it, and I was like, wow, I'd like to work on that piece with a choir before I'm done. And sure enough, Julia Ty and I talked, and the odd thing is, Dona Nobis Pacem is
the name of the piece, written
by Rafe Vaughan Williams. Okay. It's a piece that he wrote as sort of a protest against what he saw was rising fascism in Europe with Mussolini and with Hitler in the mid-30s. And he wrote it kind of as a cautionary note because it's very, very expressive of the horrors of war, not without hope at the end. But the piece really goes in depth as to how horrible war is.
I bet, because he probably, he lived through World War I.
Well,
in England. He's a
he
Brit.
fought in World War I.
Wow, okay,
he was an ambulance
poignant.
driver in World War I, and he was already in his 40s, but he volunteered as an ambulance driver and then as an artillery officer. And Vaughan Williams lost a lot of his hearing because of his service in World War I and experienced horrific things. It haunted him for his life. And I think when he decided to compose this piece, he was thinking about the horrors of that war, and he chose our very own Walt Whitman as three of the movements of this piece are Whitman
American
poems,
poet,
who actually was a medic in our Civil War, and these poems reflect his experience.
A generation before.
Whitman's experience in war, and he put it into words, and then Vaughan Williams took that same experience that he had from World War I and put it to music, and incredibly powerful. The text, there's 6 movements. 3 of the movements are Whitman texts, and so obviously it's in English. Mainly the whole piece is in English. There's a little bit of the Latin text from the Mass, the Dona Nobis Pacem, which means grant us peace. The piece is really interesting that way because it's kind of bookended. It opens up with this wonderful soprano solo. Melanie, let's see. I've got to say her name. I got to look it up. I've not met her yet. Melanie Henley Hine, a real internationally renowned opera singer, will be here to sing our soprano solos.
Oh, nice.
That's sort of a little footnote here. But anyway, she opens this with this Dona Nobis Pacem, just this gorgeous solo line, and then it bookends. At the very end of the piece, she does the exact same line again after you've gone through the experience of hearing about the terrible horrors of war, but coming toward the end to a beautiful, beautiful, spectacular movement of music which talks about humanity, shared humanity, and world peace, and giving us hope. And it's like at the last movement, the sun really comes out. It's such a powerful piece.
I've been blowing this off because it's my birthday. I'm thinking, hey. And I've been drawn to the idea. Dee and I have talked about the work. But I don't know the work. I've never listened to it. That all of us band guys really think Rafe Vaughan Williams is ours. The fact that he wasn't. I did a wonderful thing for strings. That he wrote something for a daughter, for one of his own children, She was studying strings in school, and he wrote a teaching piece for this girls. It was a girls' school. Their little string orchestra, and it's standard repertoire, wonderful teaching repertoire for strings. So I've done that as well when I taught strings. But Rafe Vaughan Williams is our band guy. There's two great Brits that wrote band music, and Gustav Holst was one, but Rafe Vaughan Williams, and anyone that knows anything about him knows that it's not Ralph. That it's Rafe Vaughan Williams. That's what, right. You've got somebody that knows what's going on, and he's just such a wonderful orchestrator, and the sounds he wrote are contemporary enough yet for us to be able to think, oh, that's certainly not Beethoven. That's for sure. This isn't Mozart. This is something current. When in fact it's 100 years old.
Well,
almost.
not quite. More
almost,
like 90 or something, but yeah. But and I failed one other thing I do want to mention. There's also an incredible baritone solo. He wrote for baritone, the voice baritone, not the brass. He wrote for that as well, and so we have another internationally known vocal soloist coming in, Jose. I got to look that up. Jose Rubio is also performing with us, and I believe our artistic director Julia Tai has worked with both of these wonderful soloists before, so she has the connection that we can get some really top drawer, world-renowned soloists right here in Missoula.
That she already knows and have experience with.
Yes,
so,
yes, that she's
top
worked
shelf
with.
stuff.
Yeah, so
and a baritone, because Vaughan Williams wrote the #1 tuba solo ever, and I remember being a proud father listening to Kyle play the Vaughan Williams tuba concerto. So we have, I'm gonna have to go to this concert.
Yeah, I think so. I'll buy you a ticket for your birthday. But I do think, I would encourage people to see this concert because it's a piece that has not been performed in Missoula that I'm aware of. I know that the Symphony Chorale and Orchestra have not done it. And I think it's a good opportunity, and it is not an easy piece. It's a very challenging piece. Our chorale has been working really diligently getting it ready.
How long?
And it's not a long piece. It's about 35, maybe maximum 40 minutes, but it's probably about 35 minutes, I would say. And the rest of the concert is amazing too. The last 4 songs of Richard Strauss with the soprano soloist again.
Double dipping while you got her here.
We're doing a Hail Stork, the Amazing Grace fanfare, and then War and Peace Overture by Prokofiev. So the title of this concert is War and Peace. It's a pretty exciting concert. Another interesting thing is, though, Ukraine had not gone to war with Russia a year ago.
I was going to say this is...
As Julia and I were talking about the possibility of this piece, and we landed on it, we said, yes, let's do that. And within 2 or 3 weeks, the war broke out with Ukraine and Russia. And it's like, we were hoping that by now it would be over. But things never change. And so here we are performing this great work, which Vaughan Williams composed to caution people about the horrid parts of war and how we need to strive for better.
So it feels like it starts kind of like a mass, but then gets much more contemporary within the work itself. Movements.
It's pretty contemporary, pretty powerful. Lots of percussion, lots of brass, beating of drums. The beating of drums and that kind of thing.
Prepping for war.
Yeah, and it's very powerful.
And how long have you been preparing?
We've been working on it since toward the end of January we started. So we've had a good number of rehearsals on it at this point.
And with just a couple more weeks ago, you hand over the reins to Julia,
Yeah,
correct?
I do the preparation work, and then when it comes time for the performance, she'll do the orchestra and the chorale together. So I hand over the baton to her next week, and
Baton, better than reins. There we go again.
Yeah, yeehaw.
Putting a little Western slant
You
on
sure
to
are.
it.
And it isn't the corral, it's the chorale.
I've been out west too long.
Yeah.
I've been reading too much. I've been reading about Geronimo today. Hey, now the word from the rehearsal hall is that, because Dean had been talking about fully retiring. Us old people, we retire, but one of the cool things about having taught music, still teaching music, but officially as paying the rent, that when we retired from public school teaching, that unlike say for example, our colleagues that taught math, God bless them. I can't imagine the horrors of teaching math. I did okay in math as a student. Were you?
I was very poor.
I got that. Still, the fact that I could do it, I just looked around me, and if there was a kid in the class, maybe two kids that appreciated math, the rest of us just had to suffer through it. And it's exactly opposite when we looked around in our ensembles, because for the most part, kids were there because they wanted to be there. And the thing about it is that all those math teachers, once they retire, they have to find a whole new life, because no one's coming to them and asking them, will you please teach me math? And in fact, we are still indulged with people wanting what we have to offer. And so we really don't retire. We just stop going to school, but then we take on these projects that become, like, I call it my part-time job, or my pretend job, because I can come or go. And you were getting ready to step away from it all.
Well, the frustration of trying to conduct choirs during COVID years was so great.
I bet.
I had it. I mean, you have to do virtual choirs where everybody records themselves at home and then have a techno guy put it all together so it's a choir. A sad excuse. You have to rehearse. You have to rehearse on Zoom, but everybody has to be muted because they can't sing all together on Zoom. I mean,
muted, so they can't hear what the rest
hear what they're doing, and they can't hear each other. But I mean, it was so frustrating. And then finally, when we re-met again last year to get ready for performances, we had to sing masked and 6 feet apart in a huge church in order to do it. And I was just so frustrated, and I'd so had it with dealing with COVID and trying to make music. But finally, this fall, things returned to normal. We're back in a regular rehearsal room. We're singing with masks being optional, and that's not to say that we're not being very careful. We're being very cautious. And in fact, all of us, the orchestra and the chorale, test twice during our rehearsal and performance week prior to taking the stage and performing. So we're very careful. And we really watch out. But it is so much better to be back together in regular rehearsals, hearing people not muffled through masks and not trying to talk and sing through a mask back to them as a conductor. Incredibly frustrating. So now that frustration is behind me, I realized I really don't want to give this up. It was the COVID.
Oh, and it was COVID and this wonderful relationship you have with Julia Ty.
And a wonderful relationship, a really very, very equal relationship, and we collaborate very well together. She's really great. I'm really enjoying working with her, and I've got to say, I'm really enjoying working with my chorale. They have really worked hard, and they're so dependable. We've had a good run of it in the last few years here. Basses. They're the main part, and then you guys are the other part, all three of you. 1 and 2 and... And we shall call and sing our glory, our glorious Son, our Son of the sky, and they shall declare my sorrow and my glory among the nations. Guess what? You guys can sing out, I think, a little bit more. Don't you think? Yeah. You guys can sing out a little bit more. Wow, basses. Now that's what we like. So,
Let's take it right on the top. Give me that one. Okay, so here it is. Top of page 62. 1, 2, T.
I know that I'm gonna go, and I sometimes sub in the symphony, so I'm a legitimately trained musician, kinda. I just happen to have taken a different path off to the right and do mostly band stuff, but I'm looking forward to this orchestra. It sounds to be a wonderful work, and it's right in my, hold on, what do the kids call it? It's right in my pocket as far as the orientation of Von Williams'
Yeah,
piece.
yeah.
That I'm all over that right there, man.
It's great music.
Well, Dean, thanks for coming and sharing
Thank
again
you.
with us, buddy.
This was fun.
Good to see you, it sure was. Hey, kids, Dean Peterson and the Missoula Chorale with the Missoula Symphony Orchestra on April 15th and 16th. That's Saturday evening and then Sunday afternoon.
And tickets
Sunday.
available at MissoulaSymphony.org. If you want to go online, you can purchase tickets that way or go down to the office.
And it's a very casual. So if you're new from out of town, wondering, the dress, it is Missoula formal. So you'll see everything from suits and ties to cowboy boots in the audience on Sunday afternoon, and it's okay. So you come as you are and enjoy some great music. Thanks again. Scott Ramf is the boy that puts all this stuff together and will make me look more lively with cute little antics on the tape. And when I feel like it, or when Scott finds somebody else for me to harass, I'll be back with another episode of Music in Missoula. This is Dean Peterson. I'm Gary Gillett. Ciao.